So recently it came to my attention that my Royal Blood preset made it past over 450 downloads, I think, on Custom Tone. And I'm really excited about this because it's my first preset that I've made available online. And I thought I'd put together a little video and show you guys what I did. Maybe you'll learn something, who knows. So anyways, on the guitar side of things, here I have a simple pitch block with interval up an octave, shift level at 10, and mix at 100%. And here I use a compressor. I like to feed the amp a nice strong signal that way. I typically just use the same compressor block on all my instruments, though I may make slight adjustments per instrument. I also should mention that I'm just using a cheap Epiphone bass for this, so you may find that you may need to completely redo some things to suit your bass because it'll be getting a totally different signal. And so anyways, here I have the guitar amp. Lots of presence, lots of mids, a little bit of treble. I take out all the sag, hum, ripple, etc. because I like to get a nice dry sound and I don't want it messing with the bass side of things too much. On the bass amp, I do use a little bit of hum. So anyways, here I have an A-B split, routed slightly more to the B side of things. And on the B side of things, I have this cab using the 30 dynamic mic with a bit of a high cut, a decent amount of early reflections, and then a room reverb to follow, and that gives it sort of that amp in the room feel that some people are after. I usually do this for all my cabs. I blend two cabs together, and then on one of them I'll add a room reverb. This is a trick I learned from another video called How to Love Your Stock Helix Cabs, and it's a really great video, so I suggest watching that if you haven't seen it before. And on this side, I have more of a full sound, so there's no low cut, just a bit of a high cut, less early reflections. I did add a bit of a low cut after to follow. And this EQ block, what it is a low cut. And this effect sort of mimics the intro effect that you would hear in some songs, or maybe like an interlude or something like that. I'll give you a little demonstration. So that can definitely come in handy for some things. And at the end of the guitar signal, I have a pitch wham. Now, I haven't really used this preset in practical situations yet. I haven't actually gone through Royal Blood's music to see where I would use this and stuff, and if I've set it up the right way. But I did add it there, and if you want to trigger it easily and switch it to only being on guitar, I made a snapshot for that, the guitar wham one. And that will turn the bass signal off and automatically activate the pitch wham. Now, on the bass side of things, I use the same compressor like I mentioned up here. And for the amp, just a little bit of drive, decent amount of bass, a fairly rounded signal, so nothing fancy. And I'm splitting it again here, a little bit more to the B side. You just want to, if you're using the A-B split to blend cabs, you just want to move it around until you find the sweet spot where your ear likes it. And so I use a 4x10 Rhino cab with the 4038 ribbon mic. This is one of my go-to microphones. It has a very full sound. Good amount of early reflections, and then the room reverb again for that amp in the room feel. And on the A side of things, I have an industrial fuzz, and this kind of gives the bass a little bit more of the grime that it needs to really match with the guitars. Sorry, not the guitar, but the guitar sound that you're creating along with it. And here I have a 2x15 brute cab, so more of a thin sound, and I'm using 30 dynamic again. A low cut, so if I showed you this signal, it's going to be fairly unbassy. You're going to hear all that bass. So for the industrial fuzz, it does have a bit of a gate on it because it does create noise to go with it. Stability makes it consistent in the way that it has fuzz on the signal. And And I like the Obsidian 7000. It always makes it into my bass chain somewhere because it's just so useful. You can use the attack setting to change the way that the distortion hits, as well as the grunt setting. Those two together can have a huge impact on the way your bass tone affects or cuts through in the mix. That's why I love it. It just really fixes anything. Well, not anything, but it can be a great solution if your tone just isn't cutting it. And so I use another studio comp at the end of this side because when you use a fuzzy bass signal, sometimes that fuzz doesn't like to stay. So if you use a compressor at the end, it can sort of help the fuzz be more consistent with it. I did have the option of compressing here, but with an individual compressor block at the end, I have more fine control that way. And so at the end of the A side of the split, I use a noise gate because the fuzz does create quite a bit of noise, and without it, it just it's always going to be extra noisy. So I use that just to clean it up. And then the same EQ block for the interlude effect that I was mentioning on the bass. Now finally, you have individual volume controls for each. So if you're using this in a live setting, you may want to run each signal individually out to the front of house. Now you could do this by panning them hard left and right, and then you could use individual XLR or quarter-inch outputs to send it to front of house that way. But if you need to blend the signal, then simply just match the volumes as you need. I tried to make the volumes as even as possible within the blocks, but you may find that they're not exactly to your taste, or you may want to adjust it for your system. So anyways, if you have any questions about what I did here, just leave a comment or send me a message. I'd be happy to try and help you out. And there will be links to both the original version of this preset and the new version of this preset that I have updated it with, so that you can test them both out, and maybe the old one was actually better and my ears are crap, who knows. But anyways, I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching.